Hello everybody, we are back in our community market garden growing intensive vegetables here for the neighborhood. Want to give you a quick update on kind of what's going on with all these beds since we first introduced you to this garden. If we come down here, our first bed, we've got cabbages, which is an amazing plant for growing lots of subsistence in the community. The cabbage is an amazing keeper vegetable for many months. So we've got our cabbages in here, and then we've actually interplanted it with lots of baby turnips. These turnips were actually grown from starts, and you can see they're starting to size up here. Turnips, these Hakurei turnips, are amazing at growing close together and pushing apart to be able to size up. These will be ready to harvest in another month here, and then the cabbages will have all the room they need to size up. Front half of this bed, we've got, this is Asian greens mix. So we've got things like this red Russian kale and Ms. America and different Mizunas, 4 different colors of greens, all growing as baby greens right now in strips. So we can get in there and scratch the soil in between them to weed. Then we can mix all those greens together and have a beautiful blended salad mix. It's late April right now. We'll be able to cut that all the way, until June, and we'll get several cuttings off of that. Here we can see carrots, and our carrots look really sexy, if I may say so myself. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 rows in here, and you can see those carrots are really well spaced out. So we used pelleted seed for these carrots, which really helps us make sure that we get great spacing on those carrots. This is an entire bed of Tokyo Bacana, which is our favorite Asian green to grow for a really quick crop and just versatility. So I also call it Japanese lettuce because it looks so much like lettuce. It's great in salads as a young green. You let it get bigger, it's great like a bok choy as a cooked green, and it's so abundant and fast growing that we actually use it just like Napa cabbage and make kimchi from it. So we get so many yields from this, and we got a whole big bed of it. And this does not bolt very easily in our 6B St. Louis, Missouri weather. It will eventually, but we'll get many cuts off of this until deep into the summer to be able to supply us with all those greens. This is our bed of kale and Swiss chard in the back. Kind of like the cabbage, we've got our kale transplants separated out here, and then in between the kale, we've got quick crops like more Hakurei turnips and more of these little quick radishes. So that way in that month or two, while the kale is still sizing up, we got plenty of light getting into the bed, may as well grow a little crop in there. So we've got our insect netting on top of these crops. The insect netting in this case is used dual purpose. It actually keeps insects away. For the most part, we are dealing with cabbage moth, the white moths that lay cabbage looper caterpillars and eat our kale crops. We've got the insect netting on for them, and we've also got the insect netting on for rabbits that want to eat these tender leafy greens. So it really dual purposes like that. This bed, we've got kind of an interplanting possibility here. So we did garlic along the edges, and this is shallots. These garlic and shallots, they'll come out in the summer. So what we wanted to plant is a crop that's going to be able to go in this bed and also come out of the ground at a similar time, so we can flip this bed and have the whole bed available. So we've got all this lettuce. So these lettuces, they'll come out in late spring, and then we'll have the garlic and shallots finishing up. And I think that we've even got tomatoes planned to go interplanted down the middle of this bed. So this bed is going to be really abundant. We're going to get a lot of different yields as things come in and out. We've got just a garlic bed here. Garlic bed is looking awesome. We're gonna start seeing garlic scapes here in the next few weeks, which are the flower stalk, and that'll be our first harvest off the garlic. But for now, we're just seeing the garlic, which has a very deep leaf mulch over the winter, no weed pressure here. You can see the different varieties of garlic, and there's kind of different sizes for each garlic. Pretty soon here, we're gonna be starting to fertilize the garlic a little bit to give it a jump of nutrients to get it through and closer to the harvest window in June, July. This is another bed of carrots that we're feeling really excited about. We can see the 2 original leaves, the cotyledons, which are these right here. those are the cotyledons. They don't look very carrot-like, but then now the carrot leaves, the true leaves, are starting to come out, and we're gonna have a really amazing yield of carrots. I mean, one bed of carrots like this is going to produce an absolutely phenomenal yield. We're gonna have to follow up video here and see just how many pounds of carrots we get from a bed like this, but I would imagine it's gonna be in the dozens, and that's gonna feed a lot of people here in the neighborhood. We've got one of our 2 potato beds. This is such an easy crop for us to grow. We take the seed potatoes, we firm it into the compost, and then we cover it with many inches of this straw. And then from there, we're gonna start to see the potato leaves start to come out of all this straw in the next few weeks, like we can see over in this bed here. Boom. We've got some of the first potato leaves starting to come up out of the ground. And then as long as we keep the straw over the potatoes and make sure that no light actually hits those potatoes, we're gonna be able to you know, have a successful potato crop. We'll come in here and we'll harvest these potatoes with such ease without needing to dig them out, because we basically just planted them right on the ground. If we swoop back here, we can see we've got beets. Beets are a great one to direct seed or transplant. In this case, we wanted a really early crop of beets, so these are transplanted. But if we come back here, we didn't exactly have enough beets to fill in the whole bed, so we ended up direct seeding some. And here you can see some beets. They actually need a little bit of thinning, so we can see these beets. So I'm actually gonna thin these out a little bit and give them at least 1.5 inches, 2 inches would probably be great. Leaving that kind of spacing will make sure that we get nice big beets. We've got some onions. So onions are just, you know, they're a real easy one. We love growing onions because they don't really have much in the way of pest and disease pressure. This bed, actually, we had some more salad mix in, and it was a super weedy mess with bindweed and nutsedge, and this was the first time planting in this bed, so we didn't really know what we were going to get into. When we have really bad weeds and intense weed pressure, I highly recommend you don't plant hard to weed around, densely planted things like carrots and baby greens. Then you're gonna end up with a weedy mess and it's very hard to catch up ground. So what we did is we popped out a lot of those lettuces, moved them to a different bed, and then we put this weed fabric down. And then in the slits of the weed fabric, we actually direct seeded zucchini. And big seeded crops like zucchini are actually really easy to direct seed. You can direct seed cucumbers the same way, and they germinate in a matter of a few weeks. We're gonna have big bountiful plants here. That way we can really reduce some of the intense weed pressure this year and still get a good crop out of that bed. Lastly, I love kohlrabi. Kohlrabi, these greens are absolutely delicious. In another month, we're gonna have kohlrabi really sizing up. And like the cabbage, kohlrabi is such a great storage crop. So we can crop this out, meaning we'll harvest the whole bed at once, and we can cut the greens off those kohlrabi and store those roots in the fridge for months, and while other things are starting to grow here throughout the summer. So that's kind of our garden update. We're gonna be making more videos throughout the summer to kind of just keep you in the loop on what it looks like to have an evolving community market garden here. So holler us up with any questions, and we'll talk to you in the comments.